If you knew what your true yes was and what your true no was in all areas of your life, would you be able to choose faster and easier? What futures would those choices create? Everyone is capable of connecting to their bodies in a way to have more exuberant and joyful living now and in the future. Now, here is your host of Choosing a Different Future with Siris.
Hi, everyone. I am Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo, and you're here on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today's topic is, would the world be a better place without you? Would the world be better without you? And I'm sure it's probably no, but we're going to look at all these different aspects of it. And if you're new to our show, it's all about different ideas, stories, experiences, strategies for you to soar beyond whatever's been expected and projected at you so that you can create a different future that's actually going to light you up, that's actually going to have exuberant living and contribute to whoever you'd like to contribute. And this is also stemming from a lot of my experiences as a family and child coach and body relationship coach. I invite people to reconnect with their bodies, to communicate their own way in a way that's actually going to express who they are so that they can create the lives that they truly desire. And I'm also the creator of the Living and Dying Body process. And we just had an amazing class. It's called the Awakening class, where people give and receive the Living and Dying Body process. That's what actually invites us to care for ourselves as we care for others. And it's really simple, but we do a day of spa, a day of receiving, a day of nurturing. And it was really beautiful what showed up in our last class. Big shout out to our new Living and Dying ambassadors. And one of the things that I really loved about the class was that it was probably the gentlest, most quiet class I've facilitated so far. And it opened up so many doors, which is appropriate because the title, the theme of the class was opening the doors for the future. So I'm really glad that that actually showed up. And so our next class, we're maybe thinking of having another one before this date, but the next scheduled one is Saturday, November 4th. And that will be from here in Charlotte, North Carolina, live in person or live streaming anywhere that you are in the world. So check that out. And the information is at empoweringlightlanguage.com/living and dying. And then we have our expansive energies group. This is a self-care group for people who would like to ensure that they're making themselves a priority. And we meet twice a month for 45 minutes to get group therapeutic energy work. And this month's theme for July is abundant living with entities, spirits, and the unseen. Speaking of the unseen, I was just on Dr. Sandra's curiously, let's see, what is it called? The show. It was Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious. And I have it posted up on my Facebook wall, and you should definitely check out her podcast. She's doing amazing things in the world. Thank you, Dr. Sandra. And I'm actually going to be a part of her upcoming Wild Souls Gathering Summit. And that's going to be later this month at the end of July. So very excited about that. Definitely check out those details. And then we have some upcoming Being a Different Possibility calls where these are complimentary calls. And I'm excited to announce that we're not only going to have our online classes around different themes, we're going to start to do some live meet and greets. We're starting here in Charlotte, and then we're going to spread around to wherever else would like to have a live meet and greet where people can go and meet with me and meet with other parents, caregivers, educators, therapists who work with families, so that they can get some support, so they can connect, they can vent, and really be a part of this Being a Different Possibility community. But the online classes, the next one is this month on the 24th from 6 to 7 Eastern North America, and it's on dysregulation, disobedience, and distraction. And then August 21st from 6 to 7 Eastern, where it's all about there's no size fits all, and where we've been trying to put us in a box around what we do with children, what we do with our families. Some other announcements in high TV land. Now, I love it. Before we would have a bit of a pause and we'd have to wait to be on TV 24 hours after our podcast was broadcasting live. And now you don't have to wait anymore. We're on multiple platforms right as we go. I know we're on Facebook, we're on some other platforms. I'm trying to find where that is. Maybe my producer can give it to me again. But that's one of the things that's really exciting about being on the Inspired Choices Network is it's ever changing and evolving in a way that contributes to us as podcast hosts. Thank you so much. So I have it from my producer. I'm going to read it. We're on the Inspired Choices Network page live right now. We're on the Inspired Choices Network.tv. We're on Facebook and we're on YouTube live. So hi, and hope to see you every Friday. And I'm going to be traveling. So we're hitting the road. So you're going to see different backgrounds and different lighting. I already have like the sparkly sunshine on me, but we're going to keep giving you content and connecting with you throughout my travels. And I'll be doing a bit of a road trip between Charlotte and Chicago, stopping along the way there, stopping along the way back, and meeting up with some friends, some family, connecting with people, providing some energy work sessions, and also checking out some possible venues for some more live classes outside of the Charlotte area. So if you're interested in hosting an awakening class or a taster class, let me know. We're definitely looking for good hosts, and we can talk about what a good host is. And then thank you for all the emails. Big shout out to Melissa Abel. She's a shaman and spiritual teacher who has connected me with some lovely people to play with. Very grateful for your awareness, your wisdom, and your generosity of spirit. And yes, check your emails, y'all. Y'all been emailing me. I email back and then I don't hear anything afterwards. So I am replying to every email you send, even if it's from my website to my direct email at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. And so hopefully you're getting what the information you need. And if you have any other questions, reach out. And so speaking of reaching out, yes, today's topic is, would the world be a better place without you in it? And this came from a class I created back in 2018 called Have You Been Told the World Would Be a Better Place Without People with Special Needs? And it was a class that was specially requested by some friends and colleagues in India, because they said that there's a lot of stigmatization. A lot of children and people with special needs are either just thrown out of their homes, hidden away, put in orphanages. There's a lot of the homeless population there that have people with special needs and special abilities. And so it was a really wonderful class that opened the door to exploring the messaging we are told, not just about people with special needs, but also about those from marginalized groups, different minorities, and people with identities that are less understood or valued by mainstream society. And so I wanted to look at this a little bit further today. And yes, we can talk about kiddos with special needs and special abilities, adults, all ages really. And I also would love to talk about what messaging we've been listening to and really shine a light on that and see what we've been telling ourselves and what we've been choosing to pass on to future generations. If we really ask ourselves, okay, what if whatever I've heard, what if that was a lie? Like if we really were starting from scratch, or what if nothing was wrong with those people? And I'm very much intentionally using that phrase and all of the charge around it, or me. There's nothing wrong with them and there's nothing wrong with me. If we really started from that place, I wonder what would show up, right? So this is actually one of the most important topics to me. I actually woke up yesterday thinking about how to make this episode different, more impactful, and also not just about my experiences. And so I made a video on my Facebook wall. I spread it around to some of my Facebook groups and invited people to chime in, sharing about their experiences and what they know about this topic, what message would create the most. And I'm so grateful for the responses that I received. Y'all really showed up. Thank you so much for sending in comments, questions. And I'm also would love to hear from those in our live chat room. So you can go to the inspiredchoicesnetwork.com/chat room or access it through any of our app as well. And I work with people who come to me looking to be seen, heard, acknowledged, empowered. And after we look at their strengths, their abilities, what they've chosen that has worked, we use all of that in some personalized exercises that I create for them so that they can see, hear, acknowledge, and empower themselves. That's what this episode is truly, truly about today. It's about seeing ourselves more accurately so that we can, when we ask ourselves the question, would the world be better without me? It'll be a resounding, clear, absolutely not. No, of course not. It's silly that I'm even asking this, but yes, ask and then get what you contribute. Get who you be in this world and what a gift you are in this world. That is my hope. And so I'm not doing this alone. People sent in comments, sent in questions. If you have any other ones, please let me know. But this is been such a beautiful example of community, and with all the things that were sent in, and I will contribute to you as best as I can. Also, if as I'm mentioning things, if you have additional tips, resources, and ideas for the people who threw in some comments and questions, go ahead and comment underneath, okay? I'll check them as soon as I can and look at that and reply. But this is part of what I'd like to create, is a global community where we are all choosing a different future together, okay? And what would that look like? So let's start off with something simple, but not so simple. Have you ever asked yourself, would the world be better without me in it? I have. I did earlier this month, or last month, I should say, because now we're at the beginning of July. It comes up periodically. And here's the thing, it doesn't show up always explicitly like that, those specific words. Some different versions of it might be, am I making an impact? Is this enough? Is anyone noticing me? Does anyone care if I fill in the blank? What legacy am I leaving behind? Is this the right route for me with my business? Because with businesses, no matter what type of business you have, you're impacting someone's life. If nothing else, yourself and your employees, but whoever you're providing services and products to, you're also impacting them in some way. From someone who's selling pipes, to someone who is teaching kids, to someone who is, providing holistic wellness support, all of that, it's there. If you're having products where you're a florist and you're creating bouquet, I just got flowers for my mom. Justin and I got her a bouquet of flowers. She's a big green thumb flower enthusiast, and it couldn't just be just any flowers. I wanted it to be something really unique that I'd never seen in any grocery store or any other floral shop. And so I was searching on Google, and I was like, oh, this looks really nice. I can't remember the person's name right now, but it's right here in Charlotte. And it was something like Natasha's Flowers or something like that. It was the word Natasha was in there. And I found out she's actually from the Ukraine. And I was like, oh, that's great. I get to support Ukraine too. And I got there and I was like, am I in the right place? What's this? It was like a house, but I was like, there was no sign. And I was like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm in the South. I got to be aware. I don't want to walk in someone's house, like get in trouble. And no, it was absolutely lovely. I asked questions, followed my body's awareness, and we found a doorway. And there she was with the different coolers and fridges and all these different flowers and the buckets. And she got to combine flowers. I was like, oh, my mom likes these colors. She likes orange and purple and maybe a little bit of pink. And I want some white and green, and I want it to be really different. And we combined flowers together that I'd never seen in a bouquet. And even my mom commented, I've never seen this. She's very dramatic and enthusiastic. I never seen this. And it totally made our day. It totally made her day. And that was because of this florist and her business. So don't discount your business, please. Whatever size, wherever stage you are in your business, don't discount that. And so are you asking yourself these questions about what your place is in the world? And so we got actually a comment about this from one of our listeners in France. And I also sent this out to all of the living and dying ambassadors in their community, and they chimed in. And so big shout out to my living and dying body process ambassadors, living and dying ambassadors. So we're going to read about those in a minute. But this is something that I'd like for all of us to look at, and also paying attention. Where are the people around you when they are asking you, hey, how do I look? Hey, what did you think about this? Hey, what am I on the right track? Is this going to work? Is this going to be impactful? Is this going to create this outcome that I'm looking for? All of those are different versions of, would the world be better without me? Like, am I on the right track? If you really knew that, if you really embraced the gifts that you have, the capacities that you have, your inner knowing, there wouldn't be this question in the same way. There wouldn't be the need for reassurance or validation in the same way. And yet it's okay, because we all have moments where we need that validation. And then being able to see, oh, that's what's underneath that. I'm really wondering, am I on the right track? Am I where I'm supposed to be? Because would the world be better without me is also like, well, if I'm not in this world, then where am I supposed to be? If I'm not here, then where? Okay. So it's time for our first break, y'all. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the comments sent in, some of the questions sent in. We're going to start diving deeper into this topic of, would the world be a better place without you? We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com. or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is, would the world be better without you? Our show is brought to you, I'm going to read this here. Our show is brought to you by Activated Liquid Collagen from LifeVantage. Liquid collagen is a different, better collagen supplement. Get real results that you can see and feel. Check out the Activated Liquid Collagen and LifeVantage's other natural plant-based products to address anti-aging, gut health, energy, and more by going to www.sirisrivas.lifevantage.com or visit our episode page. And our episode is also brought to you by the Elements of Living, the ingredients to creating empowered, authentic, and joyful living with your body. By familiarizing yourself with the Elements of Living, or EOLs, you can identify where you already have the ingredients to create a phenomenal life that's worth living to you. Awaken the slumbering elements essential for you to thrive, and stop anywhere that you are being misled by irrelevant and erroneous information. For our listeners, you can receive the introductory quick book on the Elements of Living for free, waiving the current cost of the book by emailing us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line Elements. And for more information on the Elements of Living, visit empoweringlightlanguage.com/elements of living. So before we went on break, we were talking about all the comments that were sent in from y'all. I am so grateful, because I was like, shout out, community, come. You know, Captain Planet, right? Or we're the Planeteers. You can be one too. And saving our planet is a thing to do. Looting and polluting is not the way. Here's what Captain Planet has to say. Well, now it's actually what the community has to say, right? So, one question sent in. Let's see here. Gosh. Okay. Yes. All right. So somebody asked a question, and unless y'all put in your names like as part of the blurb, I just keep it anonymous. Okay. So it's like what books, yeah, what books would you recommend that showcase people overcoming low expectations? So many books. So many books, but because you sent this in ahead of time, I did have some that kind of popped for you right away. There's this book called The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down, a Hmong child, her American doctors, and the collision of two cultures. And it's Hmong spelled Hmong. It's written by Anne Fadiman. I actually read this back in grad school because the child in the community, in the Hmong community, was getting seizures. They had an epileptic disorder, epilepsy, and the family had a very different take on it than the doctors. They in the Hmong culture, it's seen as a gift that the child is channeling information, like divine information, and they're almost like an oracle. And so they're loved on and taken care of. They're like basically treated almost like deities and fawned upon. And then the doctors really wanted to stop the seizures, and the family was like, no, we don't want to stop the seizures because this is a gift. And how they came together and try to understand each other's perspectives, and how you can actually look at different cultures instead of being like, oh, they're so wrong and they're torturing their child and this is so horrible, to, oh, the doctors are just trying to control us and they think that they're superior to us. And it was a lot of back and forth. And it was such an interesting story of what showed up with this conversation. And just also how to have conversations without feeling like I'm wrong or they're wrong. We were talking about earlier, you're not wrong and they're not wrong. And if you actually didn't come from that place and you opened up your super ears, as I tell my kiddos that I work with, open up your super ears a little bit more, I wonder what we would pick up on. I wonder what possibilities we'd be aware of. So that's one. Another one I wrote down for you is a book I just finished that I love it so much that I not only want to read it again, I'm actually considering doing a book club on it because I want to hear other people's perspectives on it. I want to actually do the workbook that comes along with it that I haven't done yet. It's What Happened to You: Conversations on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing. I might have even mentioned it in a past episode before because I've been geeking out about it so hard for the last month. It's so, so good. You'd think from the title that it would be really heavy and hard to get through. And I was very concerned about that, given all of the family deaths that's been going on. We're actually awaiting more news from an uncle right now in California. It's just been one after the other. Part of why we've been rescheduling some of the show episodes, y'all. So I really appreciate your grace and your patience with me on that. And through all of it, I've been reading this book, and it's been this yummy companion because they illustrate a lot of these concepts of how our brain and our body responds to trauma and adversity. And then they illustrate what these different concepts with stories, but the stories often are inspiring and uplifting. And it's not like, oh, this happened to you and you're just going to have to deal with it forever. It also talks about the malleability of brains and how through our choices, we can create a different possibility for our brains, for our bodies, for our lives, even if we've experienced trauma. So it's an amazing book. I can't recommend it enough. It's so good. And then we're going to mention some more books and things in next week's episode when we talk about the geeking out, when I'm going to geek out about post-trauma growth and stand-up comedy. I love stand-up comedy, and there's a lot of stand-up comics that have written different books, and I have my favorites that I'll mention next week. So definitely check in with us next week when we're talking about that, because there's some memoirs that I'll be mentioning that I particularly love. Thank you for sending in that question. Okay. One of the things to consider, and I'm gonna read another comment that was sent in too, is, I'm looking at my questions here. So it's to keep in mind, given that whatever messaging you've been told about people based on race, gender, nationality, ability, interest, affiliation, spiritual connections, be it they do have it or they're atheists or something like that. What have you allowed yourself to choose, and who have you allowed yourself to connect with or not? Like, it kind of blows my mind, but I was very fortunate. I find this to be a blessing. I went from living in Puerto Rico and then we moved to Chicago. And when we were in Chicago, is a tossed salad, a mixed salad. I don't want to say tossed salad. I guess it has other connotations. A mixed salad of all these different cultures and languages. I remember my first apartment where I was living on my own. Actually, no, I had a roommate then, but we were basically one. We were so unraveled in each other's world. We were great roommates. We were living in this apartment in Chicago in the city, so it was not in the burbs anymore, out of grad school. And I would walk 1 block from the elevated train in Chicago, to our apartment, and I would hear at least 6 different languages. We were in a neighborhood that it was probably one of the last truly diverse neighborhoods of Chicago, because Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the country. It's won awards for it. Yay. And so it was so great for me, especially being an audiophile and just loving hearing all these different music and sounds and geeking out about language so much. And that's one of the things that I felt was a blessing, is like I could spit and I would hear somebody that was speaking a different language, that came from a different country, that had different abilities. Being in a big city, that's often where a lot of the social services are. So you're seeing people in wheelchairs or in walkers or in canes or having different gait or having amputations, and it's just part of it. And it's not like, oh no, this is what's going on. It's like, I mean, you might still have that response, but for me, I was like, this is a part of living through in a thriving metropolis and in a diverse place. And that for me, diversity isn't having something where it's just a different ethnicity or one identity that's different than you. It's like everywhere. I'm looking to my left and my neighbor has a different background from me. To the right, behind me, in front of me, above me, below me, whatever. Everyone has something different going on, be it their age, their culture, the languages that they speak, their level of their socioeconomic status. I love neighborhoods that have the diversity in all of those realms. And so I'd like for you, as you're listening to some of the comments that were sent in, to ask yourself, well, have I allowed myself to connect with people of that background, of that ethnicity, of that gender, things like that? And what's behind choosing that or not choosing that yet? So somebody sent in, let me see, I'm going to highlight where the ones, okay, so here, okay, so Severine, hi Severine. So Severine is my worldwide coordinator and just a really great friend. She also does French interpretation. So if you need anybody to interpret and translate things in French, she's amazing. And she's also a living and dying ambassador, and is taken, probably between her and Caroline Morris, have taken Awakening class the most, next to me, obviously. And one of the things she sent in when I was asking for her opinion, she said, I felt a lot of discomfort hearing the notion of the world would be a better place without people with special needs. For me, it's like a kind of panic. And for me, there is a link to the Nazis, because they weren't only trying to eradicate the Jewish people, they were also trying to eradicate people with special needs, and or they were doing experiments on them. That's so violent. I'm not sure it's about addressing that. She also wrote, I also wonder how much it is implied in what people are thinking now when they are thinking those kinds of things. Yeah, like I definitely get it. I was obsessed with reading survivor stories around a Holocaust when I was 11, 12, 13. I learned a lot about World War II. It was a time in my life where my parents were getting a divorce, and it was really tumultuous and was for many years. And so I actually found a lot of comfort in the survivor stories. As much as it was dark, it was a dark time in my own life and in my family's life. And I felt, well, if they could survive this atrocity, I could survive what's going on with my family. And I also learned it's not just people with special needs as well. And the Jewish people, they were also They were also killing gay people, anybody that was queer. They were killing Black people. There was anything that didn't fit their parameters of what the world should look like. They were killing that. And I think that there's a lot of overlap with all of the violence around Black bodies around the world, and certainly in the United States. There is a similar vibration there. And so when we're looking at, oh, they're less than, or there's a disgust, there's a lot of research that shows that what's more dangerous is not actually anger, it's disgust. When you're all of a sudden you see someone, when you think of someone and you have disgust, it's more likely for you to either perpetuate a hate crime, or if you see a hate crime, not intervene, not do anything about it. And there needed to be a lot of people that did not say anything and did not intervene for the Holocaust to happen. So thank you for that perspective, Severine, and for your mentioning what that brought up for you. It says here, okay, when I was a kid, I did think sometimes about what was my place in a certain way. I do remember sometimes my mother considering me as a monster, like she was telling me this. So it was kind of, I'm not supposed to be here. It's not the way to behave. So she was probably thinking that her world would have been better without me. You know, like when you're exhausted and maybe you're not having enough sleep, or when your kid isn't cooperating and you don't know what to do anymore, all those things, like in desperation, when you are facing situations with people with specific abilities different than yours, you may have those kinds of thoughts maybe. Yeah, I definitely have heard that. And I think that that's what's so powerful about getting around other parents and in a space of no judgment, or getting around other people that are dealing with children or young adults that also have special needs and abilities. Is like you feel less alone, and you can share those deep, dark thoughts that can come up that are part of the parent experience, even for someone who has typically developing kids that aren't neurodivergent, they don't have learning disabilities, they don't have attentional challenges. There are moments of frustration when you kind of want to just pick up your kid and chuck them out the window. You're not going to, please don't, but the feeling is there sometimes. And then what are the ways that you can facilitate yourself out of it? And part of it is by actually acknowledging that the feelings are there to begin with, versus trying to shove them down and shove them down and shove them down and be like, no, I'm not feeling that. I have to be all happy and hunky-dory all the time. It's not sustainable. It's not authentic. Your kids are picking up on it. And I suspect this person was definitely picking up on it, even when the mom wasn't explicitly saying that she was a monster. There was this, kids are psychic. We are psychic. And so they were probably picking up on that thought anyway. So what if we be like, you know what, you're really pissing me off right now, you're really bothering me right now, or what you're doing, is it great for me? I need you to do this. And actually using those I statements for what you require them instead, in addition to probably some other behavior modification strategies or other tools for your family. Yeah. Okay, thank you for sending that in. Okay, all right, okay, there's one more question, and then we're going to go on our next break. Okay, thank you. So a question was sent in. My son's teachers aren't pushing him. They keep changing the school staff, which, given his strong preference for structure and consistency, has been very bad for his progress and self-regulation. We picked this school because their specialty is children with autism, attentional difficulties, and sensory integration disorders. We wanted a smaller classroom and a more personalized approach, and they were providing that until the last year. And now the quality has plummeted, and the teachers left don't seem to think he is capable of handling the academic demands of his grade. They don't even present him with academic content and focus almost entirely on behavioral interventions, which aren't particularly effective either. Woo, this is a long one. Hold on. Okay, so what can we do to help the staff see who he is? What he is capable of, and to have higher expectations for him. A bunch of things. One, we should probably have a consultation, but for right now, I would love to say add to your team, add to your network. Don't just count on your school. for the supports. Maybe you're already getting some services outside of the school. There are a lot of different ways of doing that, going through your insurance, going and asking for who are providers that are speech therapy, OT, developmental therapists, psychologists, whatever ones, after you have an idea of what you want to really spearhead, what you really want to take the lead and get more help with. If you need feeding therapy, all of that, add to your team. And with that team, if you don't have someone that's an advocate yet, if you've been banging up against walls and you don't have somebody that's in your corner that can actually talk about your rights as a parent, that can speak using their lingo and their jargon, please find somebody. I provide that service for my clients, but I also can refer you to people as well. If you'd like somebody that's in person in your area, I provide it by phone and through Zoom to all of my family and child coaching clients. Another consideration, I'm not sure where you're at with this. This is a little bit tricky because now we're in the summer and the school year is right around the corner, but have you considered changing schools? You were able to change out of the public school to here, so you know that you can change at any given moment, that kids can often benefit from a change of setting, especially if it's moving toward a setting that actually sees them more clearly and provides the supports and services that they really, really need. But that's one of those things that if it's not already on the table for you to start looking at and asking other parents where they're taking their kids that are also have similar concerns and similar issues. Gosh. Okay. So yes, I'm going to leave you with that. Munch on that. If you have any questions about it, if you want those referrals that I'm talking about, reach out and you could email me at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. All right, let's take our next break, y'all. This is awesome. I love all this feedback. So you're listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss Would the World Be Better Without You? We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is, would the world be better without you? We've been talking about a lot of different things. I want to make sure that you know that our show is brought to you by Activated Liquid Collagen from LifeVantage. Liquid collagen is a different, better collagen supplement. Get real results that you can see and feel. Check out the Activated Liquid Collagen and LifeVantage's other natural plant-based products to address anti-aging, gut health, energy, and more by going to www.sirisrivas.lifevantage.com, and you can get $10 off of your first order. Our episode is also brought to you by the Elements of Living, the ingredients to creating empowered, authentic, and joyful living with your body. By familiarizing yourself with the Elements of Living, or EOLs, you can identify where you already have the ingredients to create a phenomenal life that's worth living to you. For our listeners, you can receive the introductory quick book on the elements of living for free, waiving the current cost of the book, by emailing us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line elements. For more information on the elements of living, visit www.empoweringlightlanguage.com/elements of living. So lots of questions and comments sent in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm looking at a lot more here. One of the things that have been coming up as well as I've been listening to, reading the comments. Some of you sent me audio messages, so I'm thinking of hearing it in my head. Some of my own personal experiences with this. So depending on what identity they were latching on to, or it was bringing up stuff in their world. And I say that because I recognize now a lot of times when people are rejecting me out of turn before they even really get to know me, there is something that my presence, my whatever they think who I am is bringing up in them. It's triggering something. It's setting off some kind of program. And I've had this a lot come up, and even as early as when I was, in elementary school, as much as I was at a very diverse school. I was at the Walt Disney Magnet School in Chicago first, and then I went to 2 other elementary schools. We moved around quite a bit, but I was a good length of time, I think from like kindergarten, Head Start kindergarten through like 3rd grade. I was at the Walt Disney Magnet School in Chicago. And I remember that there were the Black girls there. There was a very clear memory I had. I went to the bathroom by myself. I think I was in kindergarten or 1st grade. And I was in the stall, and all of a sudden they're banging on the doors of my stall. And then they come and look over the walls of the other stalls into my stall, and they're looking down at me, and they're like saying all these things to me. I don't remember right now the words, but I remember it was very much about the baby and like my age and me being younger than them, because they were, I think, in 8th grade, like at least in the middle school part of that school. The school was kindergarten through 8th grade, which is pretty common in Chicago. And so here I was in kindergarten or 1st grade, and they're taunting at me. And that was one of the first times that someone was bullying me. And I didn't understand why. I was like, what's going on? I didn't do anything wrong. And if you check out my podcast on bullying and beyond bullying, it's on my YouTube channel as well. And you can find my podcast. That's one of the things we talk about, is that like bullying isn't really about you. It's about convenience a lot of times. It's about you're an easy target. They were just messing around in between classes and not really having something to do. And then they saw that I was there, and they're like, let's mess with this girl. But that was the first of many occasions where I was bullied. And I remember in middle school, all the people were saying, oh, well, if you're Latina, especially if you're Puerto Rican, oh, you must be a slut. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Who? What? Like, I had never heard that before. Talking with all my family, if anything, I was probably, yes, the most progressive and the most adventurous of my family. But back then, this was before most of my experiences that I've talked to some of y'all about. And they were like, yeah, you're not marriage material. You must be a gold digger then if you're Latina. Even when I was dating somebody, and this is fast forward after middle school, I would date people and their family had this point of view. I was like, I'm making more money than your son. What? I'm the gold digger? Wait a minute. And it was because they were seeing me through the lens of how Latinas are represented in media. A lot of times they're with a rich older white guy, and it's the only reason they would be with him is because of the money, which is an insult to both people. I feel like it's like the only thing that's valuable about the guy is their money, and the only thing that's valuable about me is okay. Anyways, you get my point. So there's some of that, and then there's also this idea, and this was what was really like, it was already not fun. And then I remember it's only happened once, but I was like, that is so interesting. I never would have thought that. And people can get so creative with their discrimination and with their prejudice. Someone once told me, well, as a Latina, you're just going to leave and you're going to have a bunch of kids. And so are you really going to be serious about your profession? because that's what you do. Latinos have a bunch of kids and they're at the home and and I was like, and you can't have both? Like, you can't have kids, and you have seen examples of this, right? Like, and this is someone that at the time had kids and was working, but they were projecting at me that because I was Latina, of course I was going to leave my job and not take it so seriously. So it was really interesting because it really affected at the time, okay, who can I really be myself around? Who's really to see all of me? Because the other thing too is like, I'm a multiracial Latina, but I don't fit any of the molds of anything that was represented in media. And a lot of times I shake up the molds of people that meet me no matter what my identity is. And certainly what's expected of my culture. Like, I've done a lot of things different than my family. And so I wonder for you all, where has that played a role? Where is it where someone has rejected you without really getting to know you or knowing what you're capable of? So chime in, let me know about that. All right, a bit of a pause on my stuff for a second. There's a comment sent in here. Okay. So many comments. Okay, one second. All right, so I was raised that as a man, you dated and married women. Okay, I was fortunate to have met my best friend, and when we dated in college, I convinced myself that this was what romantic love must be like. We were so close. I couldn't have pictured marrying anyone else but her. After our kids were getting older, I kept having this ache, this sense of longing for something, and there were thoughts. Many thoughts that I didn't have a place for in my world. It didn't fit, and yet they kept coming up again and again. Grooming and hygiene has always been very important to me, and one day I really looked at myself, like deeply looked at myself, and I asked, what are you doing? Is this how you want to live? I went and told my then wife and best friend that I'm attracted to men, and it initially exploded our world. We had been spending Sundays in church, and we were very much a part of our community. Our children had a lot of questions, and there was a lot of hurt my actions caused. I'm going to pause here. I'm glad you're acknowledging that your actions created some explosion and shook up everyone's worlds, and this isn't just about you. So that's just, I want to commend you for that. I'm going to keep reading here. I sometimes wonder what it would have been like if I had been raised by a family that would have sent me the message that it was okay for me to be me. Oh, honey, I hear you. That makes me cry a little bit for you and for me, and because we've all, it's not an uncommon thing for our families, no matter what, for what reason, they send us this message, just like the message earlier about the mom telling her child that they're the monster, like that there's some aspect of you that they want to control, that they are not fully accepting. And so I just sending you a big hug. Okay. And then continuing on, I'm happy there are discussions that are starting to happen now with young people and in schools that allow for more authentic living. Fortunately, my best friend continues to be my best friend, and we have both since moved on with other relationships, and my kids and I are close. It took years to mend the wounds. Whew. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, I can see how that would be the case. And I'm so glad y'all got there. I'm so glad y'all got there. I think that that's one of the things that just really shows you that bravery, that choice for you to really look at yourself and ask those uncomfortable questions is really, really powerful and change the trajectory of your life and your families. But now they can trust you to tell them the truth and to be who you are. And they're not like going to wonder, okay, who is this person that I'm with, that I'm in a family with, that's raising me, all these different things. Yeah. Whew, okay. It makes me think of, I pulled up because some of the questions were making me think of this. One of the people that received a living and dying body process, and she was in France, and Severine helped connect us with interpretation. And she wrote the following about her experience with a living and dying body process. And I think that this is also very congruent with what we've been talking about so far. She wrote, living and dying is something that speaks to me a lot. Seeing the places where I live and seeing the places where I die was quite conceptual. When I woke up the next day, I woke up with the image of a big pile of broken locks. so many places I had locked myself in my body. In the days that followed, awareness came and went, not always comfortable. I was able to see that I was killing myself by idolizing my father. I was able to see the truth about the man he is, neither a monster nor a saint. This space allowed me to recognize that I knew my attacker at 3 years old, my grandfather. And it was a moment of space, of joyful liberation. Yes, joyful, because finally I could see the truth, tore the veil of lies, a space open to life. By writing these words, I reconnect to the strength that this truth gives me. And here's the thing. So she was able to, and thank you so much for that. Her name is Sonia. She told me that I can say this, and that it's a testimonial that she wrote. So thank you, Sonia. That's really a testament to how when we really see ourselves, when we really see where we're at, we can actually liberate ourselves. It creates a freedom within us. And that's one of those things, is that she thought that she was wrong. She thought that the world would be better without her. She didn't ever let herself fully live because of the abuse that she remembered, but she couldn't recall who it was until after this session. And instead of it being a traumatic or re-traumatizing information, it was actually something that woke her up to more living. And that's how it can be. It doesn't have to be where you relive it and all of the trauma. You can actually just be like, oh, this is what happened, and be very practical about it. So thank you for that. Thinking really quick, we're running out of time. Is there any other comments, questions that I'm missing here? Looking. Okay. Great, cool. Last thoughts really quick. So one of the things that I would really like is for you to look at representation in your life. Like, our choices represent our values and represent our beliefs and our experiences. And so if there's somebody that is of a different identity, a different background, that you've never had a truly authentic, genuine conversation with, not just, oh, you work with them and they're in the next cubicle, or you say hi and bye in the morning and you think that counts. No, really having like a, hey, like, who are you? Let me see you. Who am I? Hopefully you can see me kind of conversation. What if you tried that out? Like, there's meetup groups you can try. There's Facebook groups. There's going out in different, parks, and like picking up a conversation at the grocery store and things like that. Oh, you have a kid. Oh, my kid's this age. And really connecting beyond all these barriers and borders and things. Like, what would that be like for you? I'm very fortunate to have friends around the world that have all different types of background, ethnically, so sexual orientation wise, spiritually. I have friends that are atheists, agnostic, all different religious associations. And my life is richer because of it. And also, when people say, hey, Siris, you might not know this, but I know that if you don't know the information, you know someone that does. That's part of why I can be such a great connector, because I have this beautiful network that contributes to me, and that then also can contribute to you and to my people as well. So next week, and thank you for everyone again for sending in the stuff. Next week, one of the things that we're going to be geeking out is about stand-up comedy and post-trauma. There's a lot of really cool stories around this. So it may seem like an odd source for inspiration, but in my personal journey, post-trauma of evolving, healing, and resilience, and facilitating it with others, I found humor super helpful. And the stories and experiences shared by stand-up comedians are incredibly beneficial. So their vulnerability, their irreverence, and strength through their jokes, self-deprecation, and choices can start to shine a light on a path forward that we wouldn't otherwise have perceived or considered. So what if letting go of the past and growing post-trauma could be easier and more fun than we have ever been told? I'm really excited about it. So we're going to geek out. You'll be able to walk away with a list of memoirs, comedy specials, podcasts that will provide a hilarious way to release heaviness and have clarity beyond the negative experiences that you've had. Until next time, bye.
Thank you for listening to the Choosing a Different Future show. Siris returns Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, keep choosing what will work for you and your body, your own unique way honoring what will work for you.